builder-developer of the Brainerd Place project. So, Dan, thank you so much for coming up and sitting down and gracing our studios.
Happy to be here, Dave.
Awesome. So things are happening over there. We've got a lot of things in the works, and I think the apartments are looking great. The retail, as I told you, coming up here, I says I'm a frequent flyer at Starbucks. So, tell us, give us an overview of the project. I know you and Fred Desson have worked many years together, and
Yep.
how that relationship evolved.
Yeah. Well, I've known Fred my whole life, and so what's now many years ago, he had asked me to come up to the town of Portland, and I actually hadn't been over the Connecticut River. I'd been to Wesleyan maybe before, but I hadn't been this far out, and that was around 2015.
Okay.
When the first time I came up and looked at the site. So he was looking for really advice on the site, and I'm a developer, and I've known him my whole life, and he's like an uncle to me, actually.
Okay,
so there's a real relationship there. So anything I could do, I wanted to do.
Sure.
But and coming over the bridge and into town, and at the time it was really a kind of a spooky site because there were just probably 30 buildings on the site that were in disrepair at various levels. Mm-hmm. And it was an interesting starting point because at that time there had been remember that VCI report, the Vibrant Communities Initiative?
Yes.
That had been queued up as basically a study on what could be done with the site. And so when we came into the picture, it was concurrent with that process where a grant had been issued, and a gentleman, Cecil maybe, his name's escaping me, but basically they held a bunch of town forums, and there was a lot of input given.
Yes.
And it was, the task of it was, how do you responsibly redevelop the site?
Right.
Given the various stakeholders in town. So some people were very into the historic buildings, others, some of the magnificent trees, right? And others are just, hey, we like the town the way that it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so coming up with a viable plan was a bit of an exercise, and this was all way pre-COVID. It was a while back. Yeah. But the commercial development that had been approved was just not actionable. It was just a couple 100,000 square feet of commercial space, give or take. Anyway, it was a big box, grocery anchored approach. So coming up and really listening to the town and taking in kind of the puzzle of it all. Right. That kicked off a multi-year process, and it had to be anchored economically with the housing component. Sure. But there was a great opportunity, given the traffic counts and the like, to create a mixed-use community. Yes. And that's what everybody wanted there. Sure. And so it evolved, as you know, through many meetings. But the first iteration with the 240 units with commercial, and then needing to increase that to get phase 3 to become actionable. But it's nice to see the people living there and coming in and out of the site and interacting with it in a significant way. And then the momentum that we're starting to get on the commercial leasing side, which we're excited about.
Yeah. Well, I know, back in the day, as you know, I grew up on Perry Avenue, which basically, he tore down my house, my parents and my house.
Oh, you were on the west side of Perry Avenue? Okay.
My parents' house, I was the last house on the right. My parents was the next to last house on the right. So I grew up there. I ended up, growing up, playing on that property, with Fred Chapman, when he used to own the building, and he used to summer up here from New York and so forth, and then obviously Mrs. Wagner, who had the Elmcrest.
Well, you have a connection to it that like few others. I was probably in a site review on the new building that we're building. I was probably 30 feet above maybe where you slept.
Yes, yes.
When I was way up in the air looking out at the views over the river.
Yeah, exactly.
Which are really nice.
Yeah, no, and it's there's a lot of history there. There's a lot of history, and the grounds were back in the day were prior to Elmcrest, being sold to St. Francis, and then building all those buildings and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And they became, basically dormant, vacant, and I mean that basically. That property lay dormant for about 15 years,
Yeah.
And that,
Yeah, no, we were on the back side of it trying to get it moving, but
for sure.
Sure.
So getting that property happening, and obviously we know the hoops that you had to go through to get things done. So things are moving. So give us an idea of. I think the front apartment building is at 99 in there.
Yeah, 99 units in
okay.
Hassan North.
Okay.
And that opened in mid to late January.
Okay.
And so that's about half leased up.
Really?
And,
Nice.
And so I expect by the end of the summer that'll be fully occupied.
Great.
Because we actually had a winter this year.
Yes.
And so it wasn't a quick initial start.
Yes. Well, the thing is, so just outlining just some of the parameters on the apartments. You've got 3-size apartments. I know that was
they range from
a big bone of contention. Getting approval on
Well, there are a lot of things that go into a responsibly designed site and development. So the weighting towards studios and ones, right? We have 70% of the units that are on the smaller side.
Yeah.
And then the remainder are 2 bedrooms, no larger.
Yeah.
So that has its own effect just on how many school-age children there might be.
Sure.
But, again, what is the objective, right? That had to be established through a lot of debate.
Mm-hmm.
And so giving sort of younger professionals and then some older folks. We have people who have children who live in town and they've moved in to be closer to them.
Yeah.
You have other people who are just coming out of school and working for Pratt and Whitney, veterinarians, some medical doctors.
Nice.
But the demographic coming in is I think a wonderful addition to the town, and some serving the town and some bringing new people to the town.
Sure.
So it's been nice.
Now the second now is that Hassan South. Is that what that is?
Yeah. So that I was trying to do Hassan Way
Yes.
as a road, and it didn't work. It was adding confusion to the addressing scheme.
Okay.
And so we ended up naming those 2 buildings. And the intent there was to honor the people who have impacted the area.
Sure.
Obviously, we have the Hart Jarvis, the Brainerd, Sage. But even choosing, Gildersleeve for one of the names and Aragoni for, the other buildings, what we were trying to do is really bring and pay some tribute to Fred, who I think is just a wonderful human being.
Oh, absolutely.
And he is just a person who, in such a classy way, proceeds with just a quiet determination, and he's rock solid.
Yeah.
And so you want your children to be like him, right, when they grow up. And so from my perspective, this is a small honor to him because of just what role he's had in my life.
No, I can picture him every meeting that you were there. He was there in the back, and he was.
And he could keep a cool head. And
he did.
I mostly do.
Yeah. No.
Sometimes you have to say, "Hey, that's a little over the line." But yeah, he's a wonderful guy, and we're happy to, like I say, have some things that will endure.
Now that building there also has a commercial component.
The Hassan South building is 130 apartments.
Okay.
And has a little over 10,000 square feet of commercial space.
Okay.
And that back section will have a perpetual view of the bridge and the whole river scene there. So it's really beautiful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, all right. So we know we have Starbucks. Okay, are you gonna?
Yeah, no. I can. show a little leg on what's coming here. So next to Starbucks, Jersey Mike's is slated to go in, which is nice, and I think complementary to what Starbucks does, and then I think we're safely far enough along with Chipotle as well to say that they'll be in a phase 3 building.
Okay.
And that's being pulled together now.
Now, which one is the phase 3 building now?
That is the revised B building. As you come over the bridge, it was in 2 parts, right? So one along Main, one along Marlboro with that connector and that elevator in the middle.
Yep.
And so they would go on the end cap. As you come over the bridge, you would see them first on the end on the ground floor of the B building.
Yeah, the B building, that was originally where I think the CVS was going to go? Okay.
Yeah, and that was never really anything I was excited about. I mean, because it doesn't move the needle much to put a CVS across the street from a Walgreens or a Rite Aid at the time, right?
Right.
And so that was just, though, an economic building block from the early days.
Sure.
But CVS has had a lot of problems since then. I'm glad it didn't even come together, because then we'd be looking at a site that needed to be reworked.
Yes,
because they haven't been growing like they were back in the day, and they were very rock solid back in the day, and I'm sure they will be again. But they're right now. The plan that we came up by taking the commercial from that A building and shifting it out to Main and Marlboro has just introduced some really interesting visuals that I think is a more sophisticated presentation for the entire project.
Okay.
And we actually have another thing that we're in development on, but so it's not as far along as the others, but there's an early learning center that is for early education from 6 months to five and a half type of age groups, right? And so that looks really interesting, and so we'll be in front of the town talking about this, I think, in the next month or so.
Okay.
And it will involve an entrance into the Sage House for a lobby area that then has classrooms around it for infants and such. And then it expands from the first floor of Sage into the second floor of the Gildersleeve building.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
And so, because they need around 11, 12,000 square feet.
Okay.
And so it'll be a really interesting use where it integrates the historic, because this has been the puzzle on this job from day one, is how do you take these 1800s manor homes and make them fit with everything else. And I think we've creatively, through making the Brainerd House a community building with some upstairs suites that you could rent, and then going that way with Hart Jarvis, we've been able to figure out a way to control the fit up and keep that going on a schedule, even without having it be pre-leased. Because it's hard to pre-lease a building like that when it deteriorated, when those buildings had deteriorated to the level that they had. So bringing them back where we're really the decision maker, we're the end user, right, and just leasing it to what we believe will be primarily the residents, for their office, live, work on campus, not at home. You can walk across, go over to Starbucks, get a sandwich at Jersey Mike's, maybe a burrito. And then have a very nice office setting, because some of the views off, particularly the Hart Jarvis house, looking out those windows, it will be very, very pleasant to be inside that space.
So just for everybody's orientation there, so we have the Brainerd House, which is right next to the pool.
Yeah, the main entrance where the pool's being built now.
So Mrs. Wagner's house, that is the Hart Jarvis house?
Oh, okay. The Wagner reference I don't have.
Sorry. With the columns that face the bridge.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the Hart Jarvis house.
That's the Hart Jarvis.
Yep.
And the Marlboro House, which was the old that was the Sage House.
Oh, okay.
Right
okay.
across from Burger
Yeah, so
King.
I'm learning something new today.
Yes.
About some of the other the prior names of some of these buildings.
Yes.
But yes, those three. And so on that Sage House, the last one referenced is the one that will blend into the B building, the Gildersleeve.
Nice.
And so that, I think, will be really an interesting pairing and create a great transition into something that has some sophisticated architecture and then has modern classrooms to complement.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I used to read all the when I was working for the town. I used to read all the water meters in those places.
Yeah.
So, he used to go in there. But
sure.
I know, the Hart Jarvis House or the Sage House. I mean, God, I think. The last time I was in there, all of the HVAC ducts were on the floor on the second floor.
They made some questionable choices for use of space. You're right. They just said, okay, well, we're not going to even occupy the top floor, and we'll just run ducts and things like that across the floor. They didn't even take out the carpet. It was right. Just a strange installation.
Yes. I mean,
and that's what's made it such a creative exercise, because if you say to a national brand, do you want to move into this 1800s something home that has been abused systemically for decades?
Yes,
it's a hard sell.
Yeah,
and so you really have to figure out. And in the lower levels of that building, that had already been gutted, for lack of a better word. It was taken back to the stud. So it was more. It was easily identifiable how you could fit up the space, so it wasn't that much overhead.
Right.
And being able to complement it with parts of the new build,
right,
makes it for a differentiated space, which I think for little kids is great.
Sure.
See a little visual interest.
Now, there's still a plan for a rooftop restaurant there?
Yeah, that's on the Aragoni building.
Okay.
And I was standing on the top of the same space on that fourth floor, right, in the Hassan South building a few minutes ago, before I came over, and just saying, this will be magnificent. Just take this view and slide it west a couple hundred feet, and that's going to be the rooftop restaurant view. And so I think we'll do well with that as the word gets out that we're doing well with national brands. So there's a lot of awareness. Obviously, there's a lot of traffic coming by the site, but they'll be coming into the site as well.
Yeah.
We just got the monument signs up on the.
They look great, right by the gas station down there.
Exactly.
Coming right off.
And so, there are little things to do as you install them to kind of unveil them, if you will, because of all the fences around it and stuff, so you can't see that sign that well, but. As each week goes by, there's some refinement that has
it happens.
has it feeling better. Even on the Hart Jarvis House, there were 5 or 6 windows put in since I was here at my last site visit, and it just slowly turns.
Yeah. Now the entrance down off Main Street, is that going to be just an entrance, not an exit?
Off of Main Street, it's right in only.
Right in only.
Coming into town.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And that was determined by the DOT.
Yes,
right?
I know they did the DOT stuff.
They say what they want, and you say thank you, sir. May I have another?
Yes,
that's the gig.
Yes, exactly.
So.
Jump. How high would you like that?
Yes, exactly.
But it seems like the light in front. It seems like it's working fine. As far as there's no disruptions.
No, traffic signal. Sure.
I mean, there was all kinds of uproar. Oh, that traffic is going to back up traffic onto the bridge, and so far it hasn't.
And it's one of those things. It's not like you just throw a light switch and everything changes. It's very incremental, and so I don't think anyone will know the difference by the time the place is all the way built out. It won't be a talking point because everybody will be so used to the way that it's structured now.
Exactly. So fantastic. Maybe just to touch on the price points on the apartments. I know the studio apartments are
we're in the $1,600-$1,700 range on studios.
Okay.
around 2,000, depending on the size of the one bedroom. And then we're starting around 2,500 for the two bedroom. And then the most expensive is just under 3,200 a month for a two bedroom.
Now, for, as far as amenities on the apartment, obviously you have the community building there, which they're going to have some facilities in there, or gym.
Inside the Brainerd house. There'll be a billiard table and shuffleboard, and there's some best practices apartment amenities that will go into that structure. There'll be different community and meeting rooms. The pool has a lot of stuff being serviced from the Brainerd house, so all the equipment's in the basement, and then up above are the bathrooms to serve that. But the Brainerd house is coming along. The courtyard of Hassan North is also being programmed and fit up with barbecues and fire pits and things like that, just to make it kind of its own plaza, because that's something that, because the building itself is already done, you can kind of refine that space further. But the gazebo in front of the Brainerd house is another feature that's all being integrated now that the pool is being finished. And the heavy construction finishes.
Now, as far as what amenities are included in the apartments? I mean, obviously
So the way that it works often in this type of a phased rollout is the people who move in pay a rent, and they might pay something more for a parking space or something like that. So there's just sort of this menu of things, and then there's a notice that there will be an amenity fee in the future. But until we roll out more, then we don't charge for that. And so it's something that'll come on renewal and things like that later when the Brainerd house is online and the pool is open. Then there'll be the start of an amenity fee. So that ranges in projects around here from $50 a month to $150 a month. It depends on what is online.
I mean, it's not outrageous.
No. But it's in addition to the rent. But one of the things that's differentiating that isn't immediately obvious about the complex is just that the parking garage, there's a 130 car parking garage below each apartment building. So you have the ability to be out of the elements and then walk horizontally over to an elevator and ride up to the floor that you live on. And so that's something that we have found is very popular, especially in the winter months and such. So.
Now, is there a cost for outside parking, or is that?
Yeah, it's just lesser. Cost.
Okay, nice. Yeah, because I see the parking garage, and that was a.
That's a big endeavor, actually.
Yes, it was,
and it's a city feature in a town, right? But it helps beautify the whole landscape, because you just don't have seas of asphalt. So, and we had when we talk about the different stakeholders, some of those trees on that site are stakeholders.
Oh, yes. I can remember.
We would go around and say, see that beech tree?
Yeah.
That is a member of our family.
Exactly. That's why that fence is around that. Don't even go near that.
So there's some specimen trees that were at the core of the site, over by Starbucks, behind the Brainerd house, that I'm proud to have had a part in preserving, and then an arborist came through in the last couple of months and gave it some love. So basically, it's we had to serve a lot of masters here to get out of the gates, but it does bring a sophistication that is not there otherwise. If you just kind of mow down 15 acres and build everything from scratch, it just has a different feel. So this is appropriate for the area. And I think ultimately, there was a lot of debate along these lines, but it will be part of the building block for it being a premium experience. Those historic homes are, because they're indefensibly expensive to bring back to life.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't rent them for
you just
anything that covers.
That's it. Add money and stir. Especially to update to new code standards and all of that kind of stuff, and egress and
it's like
and sprinklers and
it's a money pit.
Yes, add money and stir. My God, it's just like
absolutely. But it gives a lot of character to the
does.
place, and so so we're happy with how that's coming together.
Exactly. So the open houses. Tell us a little about the open house. I know you've been.
Yeah, it's really more of a just a
meet and greet.
Yeah, we were open to saying we'll host any gathering. The chamber had come over and done an event since we've opened, and this is just another kind of community outreach, but it's also just kind of answering the phone and saying, yes, we'd love to show what we've done so far and continue to get the word out. Yeah. Because when people find us, then it's not a hard sale. And so I think that the feedback has been very, very positive. Yeah. And so we're happy with the entire plan, and so I'm very. I've said this in a lot of the public meetings. I'm rarely living in the moment. I'm a year and a half out saying, what's the problem and what are we, so I'm often obsessing about that kind of thing. Well, but it's nice to sit down and have this conversation about where are we today. Yes. Because my mind is on phase 3. Sure. Well, exactly. And getting that started and delivered in a complementary way. To what is momentum that we're finally getting. Yeah, exactly. Well, obviously, Johanna Bond with the Chamber, she's a Portland resident, and I know she's a big proponent as far as that. She's a lovely lady. Yes, and the Chamber was very helpful. Yeah. And so, because it has been a lot of years, and Larry before her. In terms of just being supportive of the endeavor, even, sometimes. There were times when I was getting a lot of arrows, and it was like, okay, maybe we'll keep our powder dry for next year. And that's okay, because the bottom line is there had to be a process to build a consensus. Yeah. And we finally got there, and even with the last round of refinements for the A building, right, where that'll have an independent living component. That'll, I think, be very, very popular, because most facilities where you would have any level of service are really drive in, drive out. Right. And so this is immersed with the whole programmed experience for everybody. Yeah. And so I think there's a sophistication to that overall experience for a wide range of ages. Sure. I know that was one of the things that obviously when put a kind of brakes on the apartments and so forth, and you came up with the independent living. So describe that a little bit. How do you evolve through that? Well, it was brute force. It's basically, okay, this isn't going to work, and you go through these cycles, because the thing I talk about in front of commissions a lot of the time is we're here now because we see a feasible way to move forward, right? But things are always changing. So macroeconomically, how easy it is to move forward or not is changing, and often we're having to read the signs that it's getting harder before that's readily apparent, right? Yes. And so we're trying to de-risk a slowdown on a project in a multi-phase job like this by talking about things that we think are very likely to happen, but you don't want to actually feed the fear and make something happen worse than needs to happen. Yes. So when you're saying, well, wait a minute, phase 3 as designed is not actionable because we've been out here for years talking about how lovely this giant building would be, but no one will finance it without it being pre-leased to a level that was not actionable. Yeah. And so it took a while to sell that fully. Yeah. I believe it with every bone in my body, right? Sure. And it's just, especially post-COVID, a lot of habits changed. Yeah. And so you have to adapt to that. Yes. And so ultimately, I was very impressed with the people who came out in support, right? Yeah. Especially on the EDC side of things, Mike. From there there were some really, really, really helpful,
Yes.
folks. Ryan also hung in there and
Yeah,
took
yeah.
a bunch of beatings
Oh,
along
yeah,
the way.
yeah,
and,
he had his lumps.
Exactly.
Yeah, his lumps.
And it was to get something done.
Sure.
Because if we didn't have a phase 3, phase 2 wasn't going to start, right? If we didn't have an actionable plan.
Yeah.
And so I think eventually everybody kind of fell in line and compromised and came up with what ultimately is a very sophisticated total, package.
So obviously, with the assisted living, so tenants would have amenities that would help them,
Yeah, there'd be on-site services that are, basically available to residents if they're provided from within the building or without. It's driven by the services and the zoning compliance and all that. And there was a lot of parsing there to find something that was what we thought was appropriate.
Yeah.
Because we do want it to be as active and vibrant as it possibly can be, especially to be properly complemented with that rooftop restaurant, which will serve the entire community.
Yes.
And so the idea here is to say, okay, well, if you don't want children, right, and that's an age-restricted type of constraint, right?
Yeah.
Then this is a housing option, and with the limited services, and we defined a range of that when we were negotiating with the town, we came up with something that worked for all parties, so that there will be a way for someone who is really in great shape to happily live there, maybe with a spouse who needs some services, but they're surrounded by a more vibrant community than they might have otherwise in a drive-in, drive-out type of ecosystem.
Yeah.
So I think that there are some nuances there that we will be highlighting when we go to market with it, but I think it's complementary for everybody.
Sure.
It just gives another option in the ecosystem.
Well, absolutely, and it's and I give you credit. I mean, this has been a puzzle that you've been putting together for a lot of years.
and not to well, I can't over glorify Fred because he's a wonderful guy, but there were a couple times when it was like, if it wasn't for you, Fred, I'd be out of here.
Yeah. See, I'm back over the bridge.
You're right, exactly. Go somewhere where they want me.
Yeah.
But no, I think we really got connected with the town. I did find it amusing one night when the superintendent of schools came up to me and identified himself as the second least popular person in town, right? Which I thought was pretty clever, obviously, knowing what he was saying about me. But it was on the heels of some of the, the hearings that we'd had. But again, before we found consensus. So I think that we have an actionable plan that we're very excited about, and the lease up is great. The commercial is surprising on the upside, right? That we're actually getting the brands and engaging and happily so.
Yes.
So it's really nice to see it launching.
Now, I know you've been doing developing for quite a few years. I mean, how does this compare with? I know you've got a couple of projects going in that.
Yeah, no, I'm. You're right. I was in diapers on construction sites. My father was a developer.
Yeah.
And so I had a very early start, and
Yeah.
he put me in the game as a young guy.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of experience because of that.
Yeah.
So it's led to a lot of different projects we've done. We're converting a hotel in Danbury that had closed during COVID into 200 apartments that are micro studios.
Yeah.
So those are very small, 330 square feet.
Okay.
Furnished, and offering really a really nicely managed community at a price point that doesn't exist in that ecosystem. Right. And then there's some one bedrooms, but we have a 20,000 square foot allocation for a makerspace.
Okay.
And that was why when I came in here, I was taking all the pictures of the podcasting setup, because they will be building one of those in this building. But it's a live, work, play type of concept that doesn't exist in the suburbs.
Sure.
So it's a business incubation piece. We have a restaurant also there. There'll be an arcade, a coffee shop. So it'll be a very interesting space. That'll open sometime this summer.
Nice.
And but I'm in Puerto Rico a lot of the time. We're doing some very high-end things there. We're actually building modularly in Poland and shipping to Puerto Rico.
Wow.
I mean, how much time we got, you know?
Oh my God!
So we're I appreciate and grew up in this business and appreciate, I guess, the more complicated puzzles, if you will.
Well,
so.
With me being of Polish ancestry.
Oh, there we go. I've been to Krakow 4 times since August.
Is that right? My God, because that's on my bucket list to get to Poland. So we're going to have to talk.
All right.
Maybe
you could be the videographer for one of the trips.
maybe we can go and do some B-roll over there and say, hey, this is what's happening, and go from there.
All right.
Yeah.
I welcome it. No, but I am there back and forth for the next several months as we work through the kinks of the first deliveries. One of my partners is Polish.
Okay.
And on the projects in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And but that's a range of product types. That's large single family homes,
Yep.
hotel, condo hotel, a mix of things.
Yeah.
But no, there are other projects.
One of a good friend of mine runs the auto body shop out by the town garage, and he's obviously Joe Barone is from Poland, and he is. I guess from Zakopane. I don't know.
I don't know. I know Krakow.
Yeah. And so forth. But
and
anyway.
I couldn't speak a word of Polish. It's not an intuitive language. The way, I can kind of sense what's being in Puerto Rico a lot. I can pick up some of the Spanish, but not a lot.
Yeah,
foreign languages aren't my thing so much. There's a natural talent. But.
Yeah, the only thing I can do in Polish is swear.
That's more than I can do. No, but the people we've interacted with there are lovely, very smart, very competent, and I would say it's remarkable what's going on in Poland, given that it was under communism until 1989. I mean, that's not that long ago.
Well,
it's crazy how entrepreneurial.
Well, economically, the dollar goes 4 times as far over there than it does here.
Well, it's the euro, right? Well, there is that. Yeah, but it's interesting because I didn't ever think when we started doing this that I'd be tracking tariff policy, right? And that's a euro. That's the European Union. So Poland doesn't even get to call Washington and make a deal. They're in the boat with the rest of the European Union.
Yeah. Speaking of tariff, has that impeded you on any of the
I think
deliveries?
it's affecting everyone, certainly in concept, right? And in practice, it's just starting to bite, I think.
Yeah.
And so it's inherently inflationary, so everybody's worried about that on some level.
Oh, yeah.
And so what the workarounds will be for the people who are in international trade,
right.
That wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
But I'm getting a quick education based on some of these processes we set in motion. But I think that there's I think when the dust settles, it'll be a component of the cost, but it won't be a business killing component, right? And to the extent that it is helping redirect certain core industries to be delivered within the U.S., that's probably good from a national security perspective in various areas, and I don't really begrudge it, as long as it's not just arbitrarily administered and it's rolled out in a rough and tumble way, but it'll settle into something rational, I think, in relatively short order also.
Well, I mean, basically here at the museum, most of my clientele is more beginner entry level. I mean, as far as that goes, so the tariffs have affected us.
Oh, sure. No,
here.
I don't mean to say it doesn't affect, but there are moves that you make when you are concerned about that, or you try to buy a little sooner. You just try to de-risk in any way that you can.
Yeah.
So but it's always a process. There's always something to keep you.
Keeps you
thinking.
on your toes.
Exactly.
Well, and it's like anything else. It's like New England weather. Wait 10 minutes, it'll change.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Whatever.
Well, that's why you don't overreact to the moment. You can play through it because as long as it's my view on these things, and it's also the entitlement process and everything else, is that so long as there's equal enforcement, the rules are the same for everybody,
Sure.
then we can figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll
Well,
get through it.
that's the thing. So, fantastic. Dan, thank you so much. Anything else you want to touch on?
No, I think that was a fun conversation, and I've enjoyed your setup here. This is great. I'll be giving the Makerspace guys in Danbury some notes from this visit.
I'll be happy to consult with them.
Yeah,
on it.
I may have you come down to Exit 2 off 84 there.
Because I mean, there's when I started doing this, it was the type of thing. I've been doing a musical video. My drum teacher has done a music for over 2.5 years now, and we've got 200 plus episodes in the can. But it was the type of thing. I don't know. When I put this edition on, I said this was originally going to be storage, and I had this, I don't know, epiphany. It says, I think I'm going to make a podcast studio, because when I retired from the town, I had a podcast with my town tech program at the high school. I had a podcast studio up there, and the students loved it. It was engaging and so forth. So when I retired from the town, I says, I think we can make this a podcast studio. So,
I think it's a great idea, Dave. And I mean, podcasting renews your faith in humanity, right? The long form counterweight to tweets.
Oh, well, the thing is,
it's nice to have a conversation, right? And for that to be so broadly popular.
Yes.
So I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Exactly, and it's like instant gratification. I mean, you don't have to be sitting in front of a computer. You don't have to be, you can listen to it on your phone. And we do video here also, but we're on the audio side. And, so it's.
I think this is wonderful. So God bless. And I'm happy to participate.
Well, I appreciate you taking time to come up, and I'm glad you were able to see my humble abode. So anyway.
Excellent.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this episode for the Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance podcast studio, and with us in the house, Mr. Dan Bertram, who is the builder-developer from Brainerd Place and DeMarco Construction and all of everything
wonderful,
else.
Wonderful partners. DeMarcos are excellent people.
Exactly. So, Dan, thank you so much. Good luck. I'll get the links for the rental on the apartment, so we can put that in post.
Yeah, BrainerdPlace.com.
And we can go from
That'd be
there.
great.
So, all right, ladies
All right.
and gentlemen, that is all.